enya nkomo nyina ene ye de ya no ekotum bi enya asem nyina ne ye ka bi ye wade di bi wono mu a uhunu a wo hwe ne din no wayi wani oda chinti enya se bia wuni ano a wo de bekoka o enya se wunyansa wo fom a wo de so beko kire wa adwene nanso so asumdwe enti nanso so woda chinti oda chi a wo pese obenante akobenkum akonifa ene ye de wonam ha wo kire de wonam ha nti ensem bi wo hono mu a uhunu a no wayi wani enka bi why oda chinti ene ma de bi wono mu no mo ya enka bi he oda chinti politics ni timi sore sa we ya ye beko 2024 yi political players yi ombe yi bebre ahwe fom ene sen me kire mu akosi sen ubewunu nsem kirofo o nyina be yi wo manim so mo ye adwuma de ama party A ana party B ubewunu celebrities o mo be yi wo manim so ye adwuma de ama party A or party B afi ye politics ni wi a o sen call back to one kasan wo fie o se ye kom a o kotoa so minua o da chinti enkomo no ya na ekoso wa kire ho no enkomo no a wo kwasori ya ekoso no enkomo no adwuma mu ho ya ekoso no enkomo no a aware ni mu wo betesen efi ho nkrofo e ka ho asem no enye ni nyina na ye ka bi wate o da chinti ade ni bi wo ha wo te ya no wayi wani sebi opanyin a wayi mframa bedwam no ensam ni bi wo no mu a wo da chinti wo te a menko ka ho asem he o de ma omonka krampo enko bi so omohwe o da chinti fa pere wasumgie wate o da chinti fa pere onkan ko na omuni omonkomo omo no manyi omonkomo ma omuni omo no manyi omonsem omonka o da chinti ye ne sa mame na me ogide sese wo ye ne sa adumura obehwe so a ongu hu animu ase da bida obemma wo adanse na obegina simpie ni apaso na waye dede ama mansan atse ye sum nyame a otiase no yo nyame tiasefo o da chintin nyankomo nyina ne ekoso aso de mo ye dibi se na wedi kan aka kire wo no obekọ na wunyana mabochenku na wo mu di nkrofo hu nsekuru me pa cha o da chinti okoto ne saa ne wesisan wo mo ho utumi koto nkrofo bi kwam no omu di obi hu nsekuru pa o da chinti ukoduru ho atwam enka bi why twam ko nefa bo da che ho ban adum ranko so hwe yen so nkan ho na ye da che nye fe ye hiehyia yen ho a ye ntimi ni adanse yen ka se ampa ni ode ne ho to awurade so no ade nyina dibua no na ewie ni yie adumura onhwe wo so ewe Yesu din mu amen. And I don't pay some di kaka kira it's going to be an intellectual conversation, but before we kick start that particular conversation, I would want to walk you through some statistics bia maye emu. It bothers with employment. As far as we talking about employment, now I will say a little background and sana ya share enkomotwehwe no ase. And inti I will take you to 1987 at the 1990. Inti 1987 bepim 1990 no. We are looking at why finance minister ebeka say payroll no aye full. And inti say wani da so wani so ade hunu say nka aban befo adwuma mama aban na tua wo car. E wo say ujai sa adwendwen no na emom e wo say wo dwene kwan a obefa so a wo ankasa obebia adwuma e dia ma ho. The question then obi bebisa ne say wo say mama mfamani nto aban adwuma so me ankasa nso so me create adwuma aban na create conducive environment for me metimi aye independent. And the moment obi be catch say think about how I will venture into say ube bie wankasa adwuma no a lot goes into that. Even then the financial muscles, conducive environment, how friendly our environment for business, and I say for say one person be bie adwuma very very important. And inti anopai and also so yebedi mu enkomo, but my main take you back to 1987 bepim 1990. As at 1987 bepim 1990 enuma na ewo Ghana ha. I'm talking about in this case, I'm talking about industries here. Industries in fidi nyuma efiri afe apem ahenkro ne aduowatwe nso bepem afe akron afe apem ahenkro ne aduokron mu no emfidi nnwuma na wo Ghana enko a na ye ahensia aduasa enan 634 manufacturing companies. Infidi nyuma ye de manufacture nyoma ebinimo ye or friend is saying ebinimo ye nsa ebinimo ye mpaboa ebinimo ye nade ebinimo ye we ebinimo ye we ebinimo ye we okay kan bu nkonta no 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 na ekwa na eye makmako 634 from anase between 1987 and 1990 no na infidi nyuma enyuma omo manufacture nyoma manufacturing companies na eye 634. Yebabedru 1993. Not just 3 years down the lane from 1987 to 1990. Na se yebepim 1990. Na mfidi nyuma wa Ghana nyina eye 634. Na fe yebabedru 1993. Na esoti free 634. Ebabedru 500 a. Ohene ya calculations ni ntem nyina ho. Ya calculations ni ntem na fama me. From 634. Not just 134 companies, and I say manufacturing companies, and I drop it. Manufacturing companies in Kwa a good year, a free 1990, ever be pim 1993, a 134. Any manufacturing companies here, and penny no motia kunyato sabre and shemani good year. And it's make I say the wolves we see facing us arrogantly today, no. It has a history. It has a history. So what you say? Ewa abakosem. Inti yase unemployment ni ho. Unemployment cause unemployment. E sha se free baby. E de na mo ye fa ho. Inti ya manufacturing company 634 from 87 to 1990. Now from 1990 to 93 yantumi amfa bi anka ho yantumi a maintain no na mom yama so asante a drop it about 500 it tells you something. Enti sa factory ya na ye wo no between 87 to 1990 no na efa nipa enipa nko a na efa wo mo even 1993 no kra na so te ba 500 no enipa nko a na efa wo mo no mo ye 78,000 workers. 78,000 workers. And no amuye juma. So active from 78,000 workers. Aba bidru 10,000 as we speak now. Manufacturing companies yawo Ghana bebre no egu. Aba bidru 10,000 workers. Question aye bi say ehun sisi ya ne say say yewura finance minister ebeka say aban no adwuma ye force ye form ne hono aye ma nti won so say wo say wo ankasankasa so create with the question is and na kwa ben ye be fa so a ye be make environment no very conducive for that youth afa na wo free school mu no because youth to be afa na wo free school university aba bonten na wo encouraging say omra me venture into entrepreneurial skills and then it means you are making available a certain financial capital. And you share the banking rate. Say, yeah, interest rate in the Senate here. Indeed, this is a very broad thing that we need to, delve deeper into. Yan share conversation. I say, yan come on, yes, I see, ye kwa man so near ni yira, kwabena obeying da kon, oni actor or sign so etro or chocho ngoma or sign an African successful entrepreneur nyamia dum ono so nyuma we bien kakra no egusu a eko nanimu a na no kra me ne kasa ese no so opeso me branch manager ana se oba be family me akosunya ne de no na me se mate yewra oben anopai ya chia ho Wadaro ma umpo moko de. Nyame adom yenso ye ho ye papa no pay. Okay, inti anopai de yen komo twetwe a ye twe no so simple. Finance minister say public sector payroll no aye full. And inti was say graduates and will be a desire to work with government institutions no. Onyai na onhwe kwan obefa so no ankasa nso. obebie adwuma say a whole finance minister e dey assembly say be to dwa from an entrepreneur ne point of view no say na wo hunu no.
Okay, let me say. Let me share with your phone now. But just I will hold that will be any sanity. Even the crown of Fabino. We share number back out maybe not buying far. I mean, is it significant? And no crown or cano. And I got the moment. The warrior school and I saw your branch and I say, offer or certificates of small can be who I ain't got FM. Very easy. We will cover the brain or be few. So, on what no cause one.
Edi say bibi sa ba bontina finance minister nya kuduro de beto abonten na omanfo ase omo ekwiri ni tiri ho kakra na ede e ben picture na e paint de kire yen
me expecting it say I mean the structure of our economy no there's no way nipa na employed no e don so say omo ankasa fa omo ho adwuma na so omo nya adwuma the economy no ya fa ho adwuma no say yenkwa na ye be shop bi na tia no na ya fa wo nkofo a itimi twa omo ka ya so adwuma on they don so esene sebe omo aban afa omo any multinationals afa omo okay so those are the basic things so what say say economy no there's no way aban bit ma fa ni part 10 million there's no way the so-called multinationals are who begin the no more for the break 90% of us yes, I'm getting me. Making say that sometimes a hugging. Say a buying penny for him to say that here. And so still, you need to be a man more or more. Or more or normally. Economy be anywhere they are abra any business or more business. Whether my family home and I have my phobia coming home. Almost Yama or my Jumano cost on economy and you're buying a teaching economy. A bike Kafaka Krewajai. Napo no what do you mean? Into Minewo, and will be obedient. The woman and chaos for Massine. You know, when we asset. But, you know, maybe but the fact is that all Hokra will be a shop for what's going to do again. Memon can think of a school. Oba, a buyer will be in the shop of your Tony Sugar and I take Kokono. They have changed that one to be in your coloque. Now, maybe some for body. Go up to school, Beman can think that. Who be the Jama for Alpha Wemo? Omono be in a Ukutachin. I said, who may that Ukutachin? That's what you're saying. So, some normal, maybe the politicians or the political leadership or minister should look at how do we make it so comfortable for our people so that when you say, oh, I know Fabia, no, it shouldn't be shocking and normal. But then, Yama or more, or some more, then Yama or more silly said, Omoyano. In here, and I said, they are very easy for them. That side, I think they are fit.
Now, what pinpointed some of the things are already already. Young share a interest rate, yes, input, opesa will share one kasankasa or business, yes, can share a capital, yeah, this chassis and a about this interest rate, you know. The struggle we go through, the hell we go through before you even small capital be the share Jumase. Ewo Ghana ha. E kwa be na all susu say ye fa so a e be so easy. E dey ma ye mabru na they desire to venture into entrepreneur and ne keka ho yi.
Let me say question will be say here pa because by some ye kan nyina no. Mobile afọ. Ye ne ye ni di no. Women na ye na san mo etu e. So papa wo sika, mo ame wo sika. Asemo ya minister ye mfa ho. Because the bottom line is that also did also bobra. And into our corporate juma. Nipa be corporate police juma, soldier juma, teacher juma, customs in a service, the gray for power among men. Let's face it. It will be our pony, the open baby. And we are branching. So there wasn't a beer meeting that started, you know. So now minister they are to so be asking maybe the next 3 or 5 years, I don't know. And men copy capital be said, papa be maybe 1,000. One city crowd for it started. As a matter of fact, any capital made it start. A whole enthusiasm, anyway, yes. And a Juma Opus or you credit. and persistence. And maybe to more start business. No conform making up maybe your woman is cast or so fiscal for start. Only most kind of man for it's business as it is. So what's started part there? I don't believe that it's kind of also this. Begin say your preparedness. You also any of the start business. Now what started there maybe she can be mama or the grow business now, that's fine. But so what's started part there? Move to my movie 10,000 channel or the other for. Because ideas now the best starting skill set in the no man. Don't know improve and as some minister you can hear next and go in this school school no woman yes be up by you. Besides this, as I said, because the moment you work mini capital or cut something different in your business as a worker. Essentially be on your bidder. Because on your bidder was starting from where you are. So who's trying to know energy in this animal and they see they also planting. But when you own them, sometimes with a business idea, no one's 50 a woman of a time and go for more business ideas, but still training. You know, of course, and training is we are baby. It won't, and it's legitimate when you remember. It's a young or to them was in the capital. It's as some local on Thursday. Now, so pushing us. So, my real school and training them to start a baby. And so, send me another time and I said, my camera, I'm a pushing. I am a fast one. I did Yamama because they say, you know, I buy family. You know, and yes, I saw the energies and Colibia and I said, America. I'm going black. Yes, I've had this and all good politics. She said, "They are on Casomova."
I really obey to me. I join you one more.
I obey to my join. And they are hoping.
I think young share the commitment of a year. All the government, not only government yet, to see more commitment. When it comes to say investing into the youth, and yemwa womma omaninye so man kasa be biebio mu nwuma ho omo commitment no eya na eye lip service and say omo ya mpampa.
So when you say I'm a political, you know, political, no. I am in tanka because would be the politics here. I am Nikaria no. The reason I woke up politics, no, don't want one. He said they honestly be prominent or build the profile. Okay, to acquire assemblyman, not be DC, not be a minister, maybe not acquire MP, not acquire, you know, any desire. Most of them is not to change anything. But I say, intimate face someone can show me. Don't want to say, on your ship, no, one of the MP, or bad enough, I want change the baby. Quintin or Coy, no one knows who teach no headache. Okay, and the Pecassi know what ten in Yama. You know, Coy no Pecano, can't also mean I about my dear. What is my calendar?
The beat.
But that was the but the boy, Mamma, and I am almost an issue. The man who told me what to me was an area you know close one point when you're down. And frankly, don't want to come because of their own career development, profile development. They want to become prominent in society, not to change it. I mean, that's the fact. And the more better you know, the better for you. And you're money now. And more I want to say, I'm going to come over the couple or we are no man the bois, the chromo for, or you're no man to a blanco for. This one will come, I know no matter or you're no man the assessor, I'm no man in Pugo. But the 2 1 year in a warrior campaign. Quite then I'm against also baby the bois. I don't know. Name is Adam and name is so baby dear, the pedigree no me who said you probably or baby be a boy. You know, so it's a career for them. It's not to change the people. You know, the majority of them, that's a fact. Okay. Oh no, what do I need to almost work? They're nobody disappointed. I mean, that's the way I see it.
Anyways, inti ye jawo kwan amu akokra no. Assemble na wo beka e de akire YouTube because this year waka akire yen say public sector and ayema. Ye ne den yen ayema. E was see nso ye adwuma. Inti assemble na wo ka akire yen.
Me mane how sa na wi ase na tie. no cry no catch on no cry so there sometimes about it may be man and say I say why Ukraine. But the reality is that we live in a different time. We cell phone there are a lot of things that will be to me I created to be the amount. The essence is all between your income be between your bobra. With my focus and say of catch on some say. And now the ball is in your court. Go and build something. Go and start a business. Because we're trying with my friend 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, Emma. It is a great now better come. Say person turn normal. So person call item. Social media in Kofo be generating Kofo I almost celebrate no. Don't know revenue no generators out. Or package jokes, all right, but viewership no women. Yeah. Those media those social media handles so think it's a different time. Don't sit down and say that media policy is my policy be and my family no. If you go school engineering, you was doing the at the pump and also come up. So impose no also turn at home. Yansa, after all, Okoya Bayadima, Acha 60 years, the better coffee, or better catch a coffee anyway. Don't know coffee Africa, no compared to one person, don't have anything. So for this one, it's not a loss. It's not a loss. Say, I might as well foul. No, you're diligent. You are just a me, a BA. It comes down to money, I tell you. So, we'll discuss it as more about how.
Yera ma yena si bibia ne ebesa ba biom.
Yes, I was.
Okay. Enti yene yera kwabena obin da ko ena kwotwetwe nkomo no oye author of many books, church books ni bebre. So and I was saying here an African successful entrepreneur and yene kwotwetwe nkomo no still on this particular topic. Public sector payroll is full, according to Finance Minister. Into question though, and it say, can every graduate become an entrepreneur? Aside that, you know, yen environment abina kriti I nunti ama o preach say yen venture into entrepreneurship. Any kekeka hono. Say obi person or venture into entrepreneurship it borders with so many things. And yema be ne kom. Enti abina so dia waye ne den. Na eye chenchene atwan se obi ko university a e wo se oba be bie adwuma ana eye chenchene atwan eno so ya asem wa yeguso ye bisa ho nsemama ye de anu ye de mama ye yenko biom na ye ne yira na wo frɛ no ni nipa wa frɛ no here studio masa nana yawo crying nana yawo antwi bu asia ko crying san eka ho oye executive director Eddie Emma Ekua, Wamoso Social Equine Befasoa, Ghana and Puntu Bitimiakon and Alliance for Sustainable Development and Participatory Governance. And then I call Trincomo. You're out here and can't pay Yamochi.
Yes, so fine.
Umpumba, dear.
Yes, you are the more.
Yeah, the Radia Sinti, and Opedi, yeah, share Finance Minister and somebody to you say public sector payroll, no, I am, and it was here, Melbourne Social Equine Befasoa. Omobira entrepreneurship emu yebisa say compulsory ana by force say obia wie suapon ana say obia pa adwuma ya wo so ono ankasa bie na adwuma ana
yo they didn't can make here and kind of formative for na ya damase say alliance force mama ya kwanya na you contribute to national discourse through your FM station binia final minister some of kan you know sabiu assembly or wokan ka abian papa one but environment ya wokan wo mu ene emra wokan no wrong so yetenya na say yen abibi mamu hai that entrepreneurship where can say ankran ya training university training we ana college dia ma training na wa ankasa wa start wo juma na question america na say yen Africa hasi ipa do wo say ne big master o majuma platform ben na wono finance minister no won na ban security ama the young men any ranting free university ba say omfa nkonko ye adwuma o ka say venture into entrepreneurship wa I will say aban no equity the legacy platform avenue for the young ranting o mawi investment ma ba wan say o mo anka bit my o madwuma so Ghana ha entesa this finance minister kansa sabe asmo kan ye no anya na kwan so no wo ye environment Ghana ha si so now cause a government payroll crown so ya ma I think that it's lazy approach and lazy, because Aban finance minister, then you're part of the world, and you must create a job. So, it's a job obeying a more creative, and I say, Munimu dia, I'm the create job on an answer, resources on the create job on any who be Muntino. All country and say you are no more going to create jobs into be unpaid man. Ebasa answer panel and say, until you say a knee-jerk approach being a finance minister, no, yes, what you walk on. Into my young so per se amount for into entrepreneurship, or my young a buying on Yama with you from Ama and Lantan and Maba, what a no more Ankasai or Majuma. And yes, I'm sending some work on the finance minister and Kasai.
Now, is it possible to say at all cost, Ubiama may entrepreneur?
Any possible. You see, you can't be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur will be a said whatever. Now, what to do new business opportunity be? Now, what's easy opportunity? Now, I mobilize the necessary resources. What they be here, Juma. What do you say? And this every we are buying Juma, I can still be entrepreneur. A bit my support to Juma, where you said, oh, we are buying Juma. More radio station, ya Musa, be a more Ankasa moon marketing, KTB, you are entrepreneur, so. And and yet possible, sir, or necessary say, will be a view school, a buy no entry job, or one enquire Juma. Intermakers or one conquer Juma, private sector, support to bank and a buy no edema, Sam Lantan, and Nipano every view school. Training Ben, what they man, woman training we are. Sika Ben and I can't hear Ben, how they man is on one, or try so bit my starting Juma. It's not there in our part of the world. So, and the M's and national kind here, well, there's all Cassan be different in this or making that statement. And political nonsense here, one of the dangerous statements that what make it very, very bad. And I think that the finance minister is not a politician. You see, when you're a politician, where a politician can make such statement, that politician is a very big blow to the MPP government. I'm telling you, it's a very big blow. Because I say and say you are not ready to create job, I buy pay rules, so it means that I buy and again say, or baby in Yuma. Oh, I buy near what you baby in Yuma, I buy near candy into Monquay Mujuma. Okay, see, I'm quite a man so I will as finance minister and so no. Platform Ben will create, environment Ben will create. Ama Ubi answer their question, Magana interest rate, I was saying, what do I say? Quan Ben, the first of a year, Jumano. Mobama and Rancho Moyo University will be a good on Fan starting the Juma and answer saying, oh, indeed, everybody, politicians no, Omokasa, they should come again, na young baby Omoko. Na baby, you know, you see, MPP are buying their own who say, breaking the age no more cano. At the Abema or more on breaking the age in air or more communication. And in Symbiom Cano, it's not going to help them. In the other, or more shiny maybe, and yes, as a people.
Mami, Miss, our final question of Feminia Okwana, a call looking at a year war history, Kakra, we are Director Adema Alliance for Sustainable Development and Participatory Governance. You know, Mami, Miss, our question we say, ye per se, ye build the economy will be a hobetonwa. Must we all depend on government? Don't you think it's a say or decide and I say or the adventure be say yen go into entrepreneurship cranwa? It will help open and I say ebema yen economy not expand ya ubi anso who betimi atono.
Yeah, Western economies na the private sector and I'm an actors. The G2 say private sector participation in the Ebuama or Mantum point, Ebuama economy no expanded. In the G2 say private sector and be empowered, but the ABC say abano empowerment ben or the private sector na or make no one national mobile. Many a question back. Number two, you say Emranti in ano entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship no, and yes, I said you will be any juma, no one can man or entrepreneur, will be a juma. Warrior man still with me, a little job here than a year, he's still an entrepreneur. But the aspect I work on, they say, one more abuse, they shouldn't come and depend on government pay rule, or more Ankasa employed money, or more enter into the private sector. DSA is good. However, so also Monko money, or more school, no one so no. I buy no platform, then what creative, I'm a such individuals are, or bet me are going to their own private enterprise. That's the question you be so. So, but private sector, and they boost the economy. When you say, and they do become a man for the NRC. I am seeing the nation platform. I am creative for for the young men and women betimi so afa so na omo ankasa so atimi ya omo nsa no adwuma. There are a lot of people out there who find ideas. A lot of people out there sabi omo olimje bebira asenka omo nya support wa ngom so betimi akreti adwuma de afa nipa kra no ama unemployment rate na den aba famu ama na be boost the economy ni ade. But sabi akande no eni ho. This euro for yata e cancer dia. They should also create the environment to say platform are creating for young men or maybe university near there. And you know, Ubi Amra, what skill, what idea, become we support you to start something. Now, Kobasa wouldn't be whatever as a startup capital, and as a EBM, and also Munkosta to Mojumadia. Then, so what can send the very grey environment here? Again, will be a mission at the end of it. Then, politically, so no, you're part of the word, and a certain statement or Umbikia. Culture wow party. So
okay, looking at wo history ne de we see her na fe and say background ye de we see her na Nyankopon ya adom e beto aso akire ye ne other people no so beto an komotwetwe we so anopo ye beda se wo bre no ada je we nyama ye ne atiefo.
That's right, I mean, sure.
Okay, nyame nshira won so ye ne nana yawo kran entwibu asia kon executive director Alliance for Sustainable Development and Participatory Governance. And yetwetwe enkomo no yegusua ejina this particular topic you know eso public sector payroll ayema e wo se yema ye nyina ye ni gye ho se ye bebiebie nnwuma se ye bebiebie nnwuma no kra no a e beboa na open up yen economy no, and the moment ye be rebounding economy no abema economy na ba be robust no, it will help the people also to succeed. Yeah, that's why I was saying enkomo no ehu ebisi no asem na opani kan no na enwo se wo kan sa yenkwa mane so na ye ne Naftalin Kofi Dodu enko twetwe enkomo oye Tescon former organizer ewo Akim State branch no Kofi utemi kan no pay Maakye
minyu amedo so
ompo mboko de
na do mo yesu
okay nti ye kan Tescon na ma so saying
commitment without inducement.
Commitment without inducement.
Yes.
Okay.
As a chairman said, MPP, that's on the intellectual ring of the youth ring of the MPP. As I said, that's on the yes, and maybe Kuona MPP. If I say university for an I chair for the work on I get to see my bear before that.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
There can't a commitment without inducement. And I just say, if you want to see a baby, my thing, you have some years, you have to call it without no inducement. And you say, put me for the Kabia, Medada, and I don't think for a hunya there and for Medada. And
okay.
Of the party, no. It's the Russia MPP penny for an idea out of corruption. You can't mention corruption with MPP. MPP is a government, they are straight in Kuala, and through.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's the substantive issue, no? So, we are looking at Finance Minister and the comment on employment. What advice? If you say advice, we no, cry. Momotse as NPP member, na mo Finance Minister. Ede sa same we be to Jano. Oyamo shewo o kan say hey man wa koso blanda
lebi minya edika me din chake se ebema ni MP o watomota onabo afisia kwa ene ni MC ano permission mo bebi o mo bia na me sand din chake se ma me youth organizer e don community mu na le iguna homa so no mo echichen kom asama finance minister kan I make deliberating on national interest without now partisan or propaganda issues attached to it. As I said, countries like the US, the China, the Germany, the developed countries, I mean, the citizens and as individuals and entrepreneurs of that countries know. And also, you can do your research and then you can go about all companies, the big companies, not by individuals. The richest people in our country. We will mention
private sector individuals or entrepreneurs before you can even mention government appointees. You better go to say despite. Despite has never held any government appointee, or there's no government. Despite doesn't depend on pay rules. But what the American? Yes, despite a self-developed individual entrepreneur, organ and muha. Na say atete ememu bebre ana se nipa bebre onu mom etu omoka so even ebuama economy na yen he's a supportive substance within Ghana economy. So mechanical yen hwe juma for mo ye juma under the different group of companies. So no hwe nipa bebre etu omo ni aka na omo yi sa bed no yi bed and sa bed in the free government. So na say a private sector like despite no oye say juma na me I say yesha a private sector no so ebua o mining cost oni bi na say economy na yini aye kon no he has hold it at a point to make it grow and I'm on to say as a finance minister kan no me as a young student am me school no fie sisi ano you want say e ya sempa na say e futu pa I say me je na me de bo me bra going forward in life minya si ehye o man bi say Qatar and Cambodia in the world they has the lowest unemployment rate. Cambodia has 3% of unemployment rate and Qatar has 0.6% of unemployment rate. And then when you go to these countries, I am buying the citizens of the country depends on more lower unemployment rate. Go there and look at how private sectors are booming there. Qatar.
Me bacho yetio pa why?
Yes. If you say say ono finance minister any member am use to kasa no otumo say we shouldn't always channel our hopes to the government rules, but then instead we should try and establish ourselves or bring out business idea and be innovative, sorry. Not just say or share in crime sale. Yes, you bet me at our age, own our own companies.
Okay, you just say maybe not just say near all can what you say if to papa antisa.
Yes,
whilst our MPP a history of some and so company against will be making this same comment in 2016, November 18th. Mo say Mahama, I'm not a magician. Mahama tells unemployed graduates. More company then based on this. You see the same comment today. Say a futu papa.
My contradictory. This is two different issues you are tackling here. You spoke about Mahama's regime. Mahama regime, look at associations. Unemployment association was visible for all Ghanaians. At that time, the problem of in every single month you have unemployment graduates going on demonstration in this country. Let's come to Nana Akufo's government, the visionary Nana Akufo's government today. The rate of unemployment, check it on the internet, and then I don't want to tell you, say that check it on the internet, compared to Mahama's policy, the flashy policy like NAPCO, absorbing unemployment graduates. So, what's the maker?
Me pacho yetio pa why kasa.
Yes. NAPCO absorbing unemployment graduates, almost 100,000 of unemployment graduates have been absorbed and gone through the training of NAPCO to even at the point receive a salary at the end of the month to burden or to lessen unemployment rates in the country. Meanwhile, the president in his own initiative established, I did say, the president's business support system, or use or designating the salary to establish young entrepreneurs with better business proposals in this country. They were about if the normal friend of the presidential pandit, yes, that was the name. The OSHA, there were about 800 students. No, maybe school. Business proposals. The president so much about 80 of them were given granted finance to support their businesses. And the South Carolina or so much out of them, produce 460 companies in the country. It is a finance minister, any unemployment rate issues battling no. But then we have lessened it and we have managed it better than the Mahama regime. Even these two comments you can't even pair them because two opposite comments. Obi on page on creative avenue on options to get employed. On the catcher say on your magician. That means the person is a failure. The person doesn't even know how to control unemployment rate in the country. But then here is the issue we are tackling right now, that the government has done some. But then what the finance minister was saying is it was an advice to the young graduates say, or Chinebino, oh, found home for government. So also bet me or my move. And then earlier on I cited that despite as an example. So bet me I said despite without depending on the government. You can also go to the private sector as a young graduate away school you apply what you've learned and try to establish a company for yourself. And then that's easy. Last time NSS put up some reports here. Of a young guy was establishing his own business. I think it was a poultry farm or something. With out of that allowances of 599 or no as a national service personnel. Out of that allowances, the guy has managed to establish his own business, and today he has 50 employees under him working. It is a finance minister or no, and under the president visionary president like Nana Akufo-Addo, ne tem na say in your way near to see the two of profit say when you be to me I be was here also bet me I and born anything.
But we are looking at Onipa or Bamibo or share Ghana for but onim the situation at hand, but yet also be creative Numa. Yes, or by yen so ampa washasia o creative be. It is a young creating ye. We are looking at a political party, and yes, our friend is saying, Obi or non technocrat be our casa. We are looking at a politician. What shall bo? Say Jumani ho. Me ba me be critique Jumama or buy and so ampa Ugusua o critic be. Now, if along the way, no some catch say, Massa, I say, me yabiru, also pay Jumaya. Politically, and sounding insensitive.
No, that wasn't the comment he made. After me, also paid my.
Oh, na say, Okatro say government payroll is full, and in I was say you venture into a year.
He said the government the payroll is about 50%. It doesn't mean that it's 50% full.
Oh, ain't he? Yeah, voice and more.
Oh, you can play the voice.
As somebody in a TBU, and ya will be no your reporter speech.
Even government payroll is fuller. And I'm excited example with the president's initiative policies class or the supporting private businesses. It is a private payroll na a full not alternative mouth there. The payroll na cry full crowd. Yet me so what say looking at MBS exercise policy for the buyers, loan support business private businesses. It's a payroll na a good number abrana as a young graduate, so no establishment now so what done without depending on the payroll. Come on, it's all in the means of lowering the unemployment rate in the country. It is on process. The engine to say payroll is why full. Payroll is why full. On down and I don't can't also a magician. Or to me, Nibia, if you go to and I said or come cool. This is even as a point, the alternative that the finance minister gave proved him right there. He's very competent in managing unemployment rate in the country. So what I can one cry say, oh, my payroll is why I'm out. Now so make me up wow, I'm a what the this country cannot only develop based on private sectors. No.
Okay, inti more bra you say afutu papa bia ni wono mo e chen je fakobo bra and I say je kakra show ho. O tu amofo say wo nko into a entrepreneurship no.
Yeah.
Obetumi akire yen some of the things are more by no ya ama environment na so conducive where amano the guts, the moral temerity to tell people say they should venture into a entrepreneurship. Ubetimi are working through some of the things are much okay for myself.
There are many of them I can pinpoint.
That is why I'm asking you.
Offhead. Yensha One District, One Factory as a private sector initiative developed by designed by the President of the nation, a very visionary leader. Mention all the factories you can mention. National Nipa private institutions who have gained support from the government, who have gained some funds or some loans from the government to establish those factories. Now we are even talking about hundreds of them operating now in the system, and then about 500 of them under developing, which are private sector institutions. And also you find it private can choose the same
Ankran
Numa by Nayade, I saw Massey, Eddie, and look for the and then find it one district one factory there. Obeka say, who needs to car and now you can out to me. May the work by the president Nankasa Obey Muno from 2017 till now. The president in his own wisdom developed a policy by himself or initiative by himself, say, young graduates, school, you should bring out your proposals, business proposals. Wow, proposals, no, and he has the tendency for support. No, president needs designating half of his salary or part of his salary to that fund. And I remember example say 100 out of 800 of them proposals no receive 80 of them of those students no gain those funds, and then out of that 80 students no moving near our fund no, we have 4 flying people who work for them. So you see, if a president is working in this direction, then obviously if a finance minister is giving advice, and I didn't see no come out of HRO. This is a Jaya Huma NDC for able to do from no table and a Mahama Casa magician and NDC fortune or Jarabasona, that's a finance minister. There are 2 different issues attacking now. One is giving an option and making room and providing room, conducive room for you to operate as a young graduate. As myself. Say, yeah, I dama to the sense in the internet marketing is the one booming right. And look at the young students or young graduates in the country as we speak. Businesses, people are establishing themselves, people are owning themselves without depending on the government payroll alone.
Okay, one policy I will say aban buy or dear buy and also boabeti unemployment so Ghana 100,000 youths yes so be fa our NAPCO no so how sustainable no because as we speak we keep receiving a lot of messages ye nim say ye course ye but how sustainable non kasakra in particular
yeah but that's it. The president in his last comment on this NAPCO issue he said assured the young graduates said by this October ending those that almost training let me qualify so much more. We will suspend them or make them suspensive workers under any institutions or more. May cite GRA as an example. All GRA companies across the country has mechanized all NAPCO trainees who are under them. You all know in this country. November, NAPCO would also start a new recruitment to pick or recruit new batch of NAPCO trainees into institutions again. So NAPCO is still operating as we are speaking, and even operating better this time around in this country. If we are all going through our checks and then having the credible report to our disposal, you will understand. Said the mechanic say, "On my penny, any no can say, 1,000 of them no. But also on mechanize you, no more permanent workers of every institution and no more."
Okay.
That's with the condition say Obia Otimi for training because NAPCO is a training. Obia Otimi for training a pass year no. Me to me say Ebia me Kofi a dem akoto Ahinkan FM 7 year juma na me ko na me conduct and me subai bi wo Ahinkan FM so far and I say my question to my Pabia say I'm manager of Ahinkan cra and I me competence level no it wasn't so good for them to employ me. I buy to me share more 50% more for Kofi ejumen. That is why that is the Kofi anya there. I'm brand one thing ejumani ye. But then Obi on Yabutre exhibiting competency, if you have the experience to work, no, that person will be mechanized and become a permanent staffer of any kind of FM. That is what the president is trying to do now.
Okay. Evolving of friend is saying story. Inti yabesa ba every papam na yaba betwas and come way so. All right. Yani Naftalin Kofi Diodu, a former ChessCon organizer, Akim State's chapter and answer branch. I don't know how I almost qualify almost dieno. And then the and common kind and so we are still live on a Hinkana 93.3 FM. Kai na Eshan and so mami say medical kajo said ne marching ye woni mienu ye wie ye ha no a ye betwa de aka no so e wo peace na e hon so nana do danko akufu ado mampanyini oni yenwia panyini yen wofa yen papa chairman general Kwame Sifa kan twetwe nkomo ho na yen so ya fa e wo ha e no monti ya no wa hye ne so e de mame but before ye betwa so no sima aduenu ensia e na abo apa no pa nonkron ho me pa cho tiewe mame ye ba ye to so
Ahinkai FM woya yenim Ahinkai FM Dia kaya no na ba mu no edru so Ahinkai FM cooking competition for senior high school edru so ya benuo nuane na wo so nu aduane no
papa enuane awodo ba unity shanenson sabusu me ni de toso aduasa achem abuabu de backgrounds
30th October enuane ebesu
aya no kwatrodo uyo obi a wako school ewo any of the senior high school spare bra famumemani jama abetai with senior high school achi no ni kunim enyi achade ewo Ahinkai FM cooking competition yimu
say what yo chese ye benuo nuane Ghana nuane ayenim no wo so nu nkwan ye de a enya ye ahia me schools a eba bie odan senior high school achimoda
Atefa senior high technical achimoda
Wenchi Salvation Army senior high school achim wenchi
across senior high school achim across
Achiamai senior high school achim manso wo mo so ba
Fishing Vocational Institute achim abuabu home grounds
Achiasi senior high school achima chiase wo mo tua line
ana le krakra no Youth in Leadership and Skills Training Center achim takrase
why aduane na be ye de
Shanenson live band music etuatua adontufu toto Robinson Finkan aduane onyamba be tachi
eji ajontufu bebre eddo dada hafko Selina Boati Dikin Samiba Kwajo Abeberima.
And I tell you, the gospel striker Perpetua Didier
Nyametiame
Obuoba Ofori Amanfo of Hebron Prayer Camp Onusu Tialai.
Hey Mami Pokuyeba Hobeye de keke
Anuti Ahinkai 93.3 FM cooking competition for senior high school a Basso live our Achem Abuabu Deba ground.
Wo se eye date be?
Eye 30th October 2021.
Chance your time be.
Anopa non kron kopim enumere no nsia.
Ahinkai 93.3 FM the best in the east.
Empire Ebenja.
Hey, Sasa. Mommy for me mattress and come down. Oh, wouldn't how? Now, a dear mattress near ye. Oh, some pa, now mattress be a canacoto. Oh, where dear brand? Why, say, yeah, ash forma. Next is a one to mattress. Oh, I had distress panel at home. Yeah, a hound mattress, a bemo chair, yeah, the Biano de Mika Hospital. Next one crowd who are no one study Janet. And as I to use mattress, Trebia, a bemo so die bonnet, and I just surround came to Sauka risky. A ash form mattress. Nim pasu no mape ne mahunam duan ho jojo no etnetne wapom ne moda na ho na manipadua na sisi ne ho so afena meni ewie begiem papa hodo bebre mattresses pillows bed linens duvets and in your mafe fight this is dem e wo ash foam
Freyan was 055 299 7330 and now 0245 011 255 Sheshe ash foam depot e wo odan kede stredro across so ana achiasi na beto ashom product ko siesie wo dem wasaso ana wadwa ye bia aduam so carpenter for ne upholsters mo betumi anya carpentry products na ewo ye shops wo behu ashom odan showroom ewo Ntiamoa junction.
Ashfoam, feel it, know it.
So, I serve it hot. I give you all the gist in the entertainment fraternity. I'm the music plug too. Your friend Kobina Kosti. I branch part the perfect gentleman, host of Showbiz 933. Me bring a whole new package. So meet me, I'm a pandit.
What you say? And Kolam for all genders, all age groups. That time about 3 almost imagine saying that's why.
Etiana ne wansem kan no an average pundit like some of us now we find it hard to discuss him, but it's what we supposed to do because we need to do and it's show business.
Because I said I need quality on and need too high near idea. Don't I do it Americans one boys na crack say. On the delete music if from digital channels so decoder so.
This and every Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay, yes, I am Makwaba live on Ahenkana 3.3 FM, 31 minutes after 9. Yeda so, eti enkunya so, yedi jumedie no edi amamo. Yemfa sida enkoma K Asenso Limited. K Asenso Limited se men kanchira se eye office chairs, enkunya papa, ena ope edi juma afo ni chiri mu ewo ne ho. Ni awode egu mo ensori mu anase eye school, baby bia na ope enkunya. Edi juma ye kanfo K Asenso Limited nkunya no ena edi ama K Asenso say ye swinging wheel officials akunya wutimu a ubetimi adandan wo ho eno na wo pe anase ope quality wooden chairs nkunya ye di nua papa ena edi aya ni nyina eye K Asenso Limited na me kanfo di ama mo ne ano pay eno achi so authentic bookshelves ye wo shelves papa ukipu document wo mu a enyira fin ye ho inkranyu sojunso engumu nkorere ense no ni nyina K Asenso Limited na me kanfo di ama ne anope circle adabraka of Iran Clinic Kaneshi Flamingo Road ewo Zongo Junction ho enomo frayen was 0302 257209 0302 257209 and 0302919739. K Asenso Limited was the home of quality office chairs and bookshelves. As foam sano pe mi sa say mattress ben na woda so e mattress papa na say e matrama pe mattress no e na woda so a me pa cho bebre e wo say ohwe na wo ye ho ebribi e de ema me K as foam enso say depot no ma bie depot no ba bia kede swedro across wa chiachim odanso say wo de etoye wo Christmas mu eni nti ye guso a ye ma eye bonaza hodo no bebre onsanya nkan wo dia no ma na abo to kwaje wo dia ne nche wade 0552 997330 and 0245 011255 0245 011255 ose brabeje wo dia sanse odien ya na odia asem nyankopon ya adom a on the 30th of this month I can from ye di dwumadi no e hyehyɛ so dendenden a enya asem ketwa mame nkwa homa so nkodi nkomo wi emra me ba na fe yentoa eso ye ni yera call Jan or ye deputy national coordinator edema 10 ye ka se 10 ye NDC womo esukufo nka bomu kuo no a ewo university ahodo mu no tertiary education institution network. Jan oti yanka yamo achi aba henkan FM so umpombo ko de nyame adom yanso ye ho ye pa na commenter finance minister Emma Ye in 2016 omampani dada John Dramani Mahama ono so ka asem kro no a aden na we dia asa ahyemu bebere sa
President Mahama make the same comment
also onye magician na wa critique nyuma bebere sa
Them propagandist headline I will make any other attention.
I see.
The daily statement, Gabriel said that corner now will make it.
But I Ghana Web also carry this same story.
No. What source say? I mean, in media, you know that you can.
I see.
The story from often the daily statement. But this time we have heard it from the finance minister, Nankasene number 2. Nankase Kade. This time, offend the government payroll no IMA, and government won't be able to absorb any graduates there.
I don't think it's all can say government won't be able.
Nasembe not can.
Or say
those people
how do we deal with them one day? But the point is that the finance minister stated clearly, say the government payroll is full. So obviously nobody can be admitted into the government payroll.
But they are much concerned. They are much concerned.
What is much concerned? Is it government?
Is the yes, government we are talking about
what
here.
What have they done? If they are much concerned, what have they done?
About so kase payroll na are full in pre America say. Now so in 2020 budget which is just around the corner. Omodi ashim
2020 budget this was can you
2022 na America 2022.
Yes. Then see one no if after whatever besem then they
Zakwa de ekom de o na maka che obi so ekom de bi no so nyambotre me de aduane asiso enche beben odwene wo ho.
The point is that in future. In fact, they have stated on several occasions, even in 2016, one manifesto, they stated clearly that one coming into office, they were going to focus on job creation. As I said, this is one budget manifesto needs to change agenda for jobs. So after being in office for first term, you didn't put in measures to create enabling environment. In fact, what you sought to do in there, you collapse institutions. As I say, institutions are not for employment. You haven't created any. In your first thing, you were not able to create any job opportunity for anybody. You rather close down institutions, and now you are telling us that you can't absorb them into a government payroll, but rather they should go into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship now will come, they require capital. And Sana was started. There's nothing like capital for any graduate here in Ghana. In Tanzania, people will be real school, and the person will be unemployed because there's no capital anywhere. But in other countries, there are provisions such as you offend the loan facilities for one will be real school. But in our part, it is different. Nothing like that is there. So what we are telling government is that one, you have failed. In 2016, you made noise that when you come, we're going to create job opportunities for Ghanaian youth and our graduates. You haven't done that. You have failed. Over only 600,000. No payroll, no. Then your population is 30 million. 30 million, and that's a payroll, no. They do 1 million. No, you have a first term. Two, there is no provision and make it for one will be real school every year beyond the 100,000 will be real school. You haven't made any provision for them in terms of provision of capital. You haven't done that. Three, there were channels here in the real school automatically on your ejuma oye. Example in teacher training and a nursing training. But today your government president, the Kufado's government has taken away that automatic postings from there. As I say, if nurses, teachers, for instance, in 2018, government denied over 2,000 newly trained teachers employment. In 2019, we didn't that won't posting 2020, won't posting. Then in 2021, also joining. So already the traditional employment scheme no can or the real school automatically you absorb no. And we have taken away automatic postings. If the heritage reports are on the 12th March 2019. The then Minister for Education he has taken away automatic postings. Nurses today one we rotation they are home. Government hasn't been able to employ them. As I say. So one, you haven't created any opportunity for anyone. Even traditional businesses, businessmen are now businesses. You have found a way, or you have succeeded in collapsing those businesses. Your bank, over 300 financial institutions have been collapsed by your administration. You, the finance minister, you led that to collapse those institutions. And if Dr. Vok is in the mini bank, for instance, and a bank had over 100 branches. That branches, so now you'll be a 5 or now, or you at every branch. You manage to collapse those banks, leaving those people all employed. And the one system no more buying on for
but Echo say, Oka say he managed to collapse a bank. Don't you think, sir, you've not been fair to penny form? Yes, sir.
Those banks existing, it's Royal Bank in existence,
But almost and your bank is see and son a bank in any hobby.
What we know is that those banks are not in existence.
But say BBC and oh, now where you want thing some way see ya di a better mountain so you say be licensing somebody ye juma kra nye e bi no jisika ye bisa omo hu ba bi sika ne wo enti clearly no na niam bi nko yie.
What has happened to those people? They are there. So it means nothing happened until a court proves that yes, indeed something happened. Nothing happened. We can say today that Giant Bank is not existing, Royal Bank is not existing, and other ones are not existing. Government has successfully collapsed those institutions. As I said. So even those banks and those institutions the administration of President Akufo-Addo has succeeded in collapsing them. So there are other institutions, there were more. In fact, there are more institutions that they have been collapsed. There was a businessman we're creating a business, our trade fair. They managed to go there and back down his business. We're there, we're in this country, we had everything. We saw everything. Show business. Just because probably the person didn't agree with them. So even existing businesses, institutions are not thriving. Again, because government has introduced nuisance taxes. Example, COVID-19 tax, Bola tax, increment in the National Health Insurance Levy, debt fund levy, and this VAT in our way increasing. Now, these people are supposed to, these financial institutions are supposed to carry the burden of the government by paying those taxes. Now, if they catch it, they should go into private business. The NPP as a political party is a capitalist party. But what are they doing in terms of capitalism? They are rather collapsing institutions. They are not helping the youth set up their own businesses. And it is unfortunate.
But say, oh, Bob Bracco and Nimua, Abrabono Bob, and you may be a criminal, the atutu baby will do nothing, wash a baby, oko. Say, ye can a sasha, backo someone. Minumi Nubeka ya in 2015, IMF conditionalities, restrict. One mobile ye, and ye be on my year through her, and ye to be far and crowful jumum, omunye be. Oh, na nurses say form with jumum, ye for doctors a jumum, even COVID-19 meba. COVID-19 ye buy ye ya, ye did double track, may say COVID-19, double track ye buy ye, my be far a teacher phobia. Nanka bi mu kwampo kra omofo de teaching but and they are fed nipa ni bi adwuma be ka e ya atretrefo no ho a double track wo mo nso so e kira de a mo nsa koma no.
So what is new was Mahama not employing teachers?
Oh, but I said before double track e beba no na ye the normal usual teachers ne fa on but because of double tracking say na ye fa teacher ni ba kwa ya fa 2.
Do you know the number of teachers that were employed? Only 8,000. At the end of every year, 800,000. Every year, there are 100,000 come from university. So if you employed 8,000,
but sir, the whole statement I okay so one year free. But
no, I think say there are people. There are a lot of people who complete school in a year. 100,000. So if those people who complete school. And you say that there is no opportunity for them. How can you say that they haven't employed any single government worker? They have done so. But the fact is that there are lots of people outside that they haven't been employed by government. And you cannot say that because those people, they have employed just a few people, no, they have done well, so we should clap for them. You cannot say that. Because a lot of people outside that they have been denied the opportunity to have access to government work. And that's put aside, no, we are not saying the Obiankoye government work, but looking at the entrepreneurship side, they have done little over there in terms of making facilities available for graduates to have access to loans to set up their own businesses. They haven't done that, so they tell you that go and establish your own business, venture into entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship, yes, you have made available for you haven't made available for any idea and the person doesn't have money. So how does a person begin?
But appreciate the fact say anya bia the a year presidential pitch challenge about the support to young entrepreneurs and watching so NEP so almost support to young entrepreneurs ya nyina witness some of activities ya koso e wo my Ghana mu hanomo.
NEP has been in existence since 2015 or so. It was under, I think 2014, it was under President Mahama that NEP was introduced. Initially it was Youth Enterprise Support. Then in 2017, they changed the name to NEP. NEP is there, all right, but it is not enough. At the end of every year, how many people benefit from NEP? We expect the government to create more enabling environment. That's one more kind of they should go into entrepreneurship. And I'm telling you, I'm giving you the statistics that 100,000 complete school every year. So if 100,000 are coming out of young universities, but how many are they being supported by government? Now support government or support or starting up business. You cannot tell because there are a lot of them. They don't have any opportunity anywhere. They are left to their fate. They are left to find their own ways of surviving. That is why today there are a lot of scams, there are a lot of fraud in the system. Now, when you have mobile, the phone, what fraud catch out there. What send no mobile money? Check away, no, I send no fake message. At the end of the big people, what do you take? Then I say, I'm a whole big firm, Catam Day. You cannot the best and I'm saying you. Yes, I have fraud because we never cut it and come to big cow at that moment. They are there because they don't have jobs. If they had jobs, they wouldn't be doing what they are doing now. So what we are telling President Kufuor in 2016, you made noise that when you come into office, we're going to create jobs. We're going to give Ghanaian youth jobs. Where are the jobs? You haven't done that. Yes, there are traditional employment channels, such as police and then those things are there, and it is nothing new. It is normal. Even that you haven't done much. You haven't done much. But I'm still saying that if on the other side beat the teacher and nursing, and on the traditional, once they complete school, government employs them. But under your tenure as President Kufuor, there are a lot of trained teachers are waiting here. There are some trained teachers who will be teacher training institution. It never existed under President Mahama. So we will school, we will teacher training school, or if you are buying posting. No. But
now say, I know, can say we can say, move to me so for my juma na katua ne ma and also swear because TBA. Omo ye juma for 3 years, but you catch them say 3 months depend ye binya diama womo.
No, those were challenges and only different. We are talking about employment over here. Now, and it wasn't until they were denied their salary. They paid them. They paid them. Yes, I agree that there were some of them who were arrears women. Those kind of things. That one is even better than being denied employment. In this case, I'm telling you that.
Okay.
Denied employment. What if 2018 over school? What if
all right, Echo, my young fancy, and Yami Adamo, I bet to Uncle Matri, so that's in your chichi, Wadaroma. All right, Echo John, a deputy teen coordinator, and no national, and a no train and commono. Yaba crossing over to Peace 104.3, the president of the land, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the commander in chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. Yanintie, say, and Comatri no. Aye krado yebesana ba yenkoye ye nyina yentie bi okay just mo fra mo nkrofo ne ba o mo nyina pe ba bi afa mo fra mo mra na mo mra me penhwe all right nti yehwe se ebetutum na ye de atum mo fra mo mra na mo me fantum man yentie bi okay erode de he emma okay. You know, yehwe say ye bet to bibia na atom kama na fe dia ekoso ho no so ye de abremo 101 with the president of the republic Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on Peace, also on Ahenkan 93.3 FM. Oshomre no asimanu adunum ɛbaako ɛna abɔ apa no pa nonkron ɛho yɛn technicians no ɛhwɛ sɛ ɔmbɛkeka nneɛma abobom na afei ya cross over to peace ni akwakofa that big interview no the amamo all right okay
commitments here. Now, I think that when you look back today, even despite the COVID interventions, so we are saying for COVID came as a disruptive factor. But between 2017 and the COVID in 2020, there are significant advances that the economy of the country had made. And even now, we're seeing that those advances have given us a basis for recovering from the COVID pandemic. You keep hearing about the economies of the world that still attained a positive growth rate, even during Ghana Kahopa. Say, Nehemiah Tutu, this year, the sequence to see about being, so, yes, how can you ever be satisfied? What is this? Well, how can you ever say so? We are satisfied. What do you mean, Kasa? The only thing I can say, you're encouraged by the rate of progress, and the meeting I can say, I'm encouraged by the rate. And going around the country, which is one of the main things I'm to keep in touch with the developments around the country, to see with my own eyes. Not always, but every now and then you get an information. It doesn't tally with what's going on the ground. Going around. Today is the beginning of the 16th region. In the course of the last 6 months, I think 15 regions are winning on Central Regional Tour, and then I may say obvious reasons. It usually has to be either the first or the last. I'm reasonably. Nearly 500,000 more people are in secondary school now than they were when they came into office. As a result of the government's free SHS policy, we now have a national health insurance scheme that is working, where the NHIS card will produce when you go to hospital, you're given treatment. It works. It's not like before. Infrastructural development about you will be working on that. So that is the meaning of unprecedented.
Yes.
You'll be working on that. This is some air Troy. Echo can say, unprecedented development. You
na mpacho se no adakakra se no adakakra wabre
I was feeling the bumps. Yeah, it's baby ameko. Within my first year, I buy from Accra up to Paga, back to through Hamile up to Aflao, up to Edu, baby ameko. The first thing on the mouth of virtually every chief, every opinion leader, so it isn't true that we are 4 years here by year. The amount of road coverage which has taken place since we came expanded the road network considerably. And it's obvious. You even here in Accra, you can see the road works that are going on. You're seeing it all over the country. It is by no means enough. We still have much more to do to give our country the modern road network which it deserves. But and for me, that is the encouraging aspect of my period as the president. That serious efforts are being made to tackle some of the fundamental problems of our country. They will not all be resolved, even in my time, and perhaps even in the time of my successor. But very serious efforts are being made to come to grips with these problems. And that, for me, is the encouraging aspect of my period in office.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo na mote se yene me twetwe nkomo ewe yedwumedie ne Sokokroko Peace 104.3 na anope waye adom enya ye ho adaje ababe pie ha na opache se na probo no wako 15 regions efe nyame adom wako akodu 16th region Greater Accra na anope wababe du hey. One of the things I can say, Aquine, I'm paying contractor for Susan. Interna.
What about Sukakra?
Musu said, this kind of
Sikana will be here, so the Bay Aquine, and it's kind of enough for.
Yeah.
Sikano's mood do papa, and putting it together, being able to be. But I believe, says at the end of the day, no, bottom line now here.
Yeah.
That the bottom line tells you that a significant amount of work is being done on rehabilitating and expanding our road network. Yes, in the process, unfortunately, not all the contractors are being paid on time. But I think we're making it the effort to make sure that at the end of the day, everybody gets what is due to them. And we'll continue to do that. It cannot be in the interest of government, say, private sector people will finance the public sector development. That should not be the case. If anything else at all, it should be the other way around.
The other way around.
But the public sector is the one that is helping to finance the growth of the private sector. But Sikasem is not the best.
And where is that?
In a decent place.
Sikasem Ghana not being accepted from this. Now Ebiswaka say, one, we were ill prepared. Two, it knocked us out because Sikasem don't blame COVID, blame poor management of the economy. Also Musay.
I'm amazed. I'm going to be one thing a year, and now was so those who are saying this, even the simple arithmetic, maybe 2017, the last year of the predecessor government, rate of growth of the economy 3.4%, the lowest in over 20 years. Our first year rate of growth was over 8%. Second year 7%. Third year 6 point something. On the average, the growth rate of the economy between 2017 and 2020, the onset of COVID, was 7%. 7% economic growth made us one of the fastest growing economies in the world, not just on the African continent, but across the globe. All what the economists, what they find is laughable, so-called macroeconomic data, all of them have pointed in a much more positive manner, maybe in what they were there before. Inflation came down from nearly 16% to single digit, and it is now just crept over 10%.
Yes.
Interest rates, 32 odd percent. Today, they're hovering around up 20%. With every effort being made to bring them further down.
Peace FM.
Reserves. You had trade deficits before I came. Today, we have trade surpluses. Reserves. 2.5, barely 3 months worth of reserves, 5.5, nearly 6 months of reserves today. So if you compare this data, I'm not saying that the data in itself tells everything, but the data tells quite a lot. and you compare this to those who are making the accusation of poor management. Now, once again, English language, now I'm surprised to hear some of these accusations, especially from the lips from which they come. Say, Miss Man, it is 1 year were responsible for the 3.4% rate of growth and for the inflationary pressures that were so evident in Ghana at the time. So one in Ankawaniwa Bemu ma COVID beto here. And I can say by this time they're not Ghana that we have buried the country. We would have been buried by now. R.I.P. Ghana, rest in peace. It would have been broken by now. So I don't think that we should engage the Ghanaian people in this kind of unnecessary, tendentious politics and making these statements.
Mr. President, talk about growth, improvement in the economy, numbers, figures, interest rates, macro, micro, inflation there. On paper, GDP, it's only meaning in you're trying to crack down so the NHS impunto abem, and so meaning say ye bisa say nipa nankasa no omuhunu sa. Do the people feel these things? Do you get so. That? Feedback.
I believe so. I believe that is it because in the end, take for instance the issue of inflation.
Yes.
Such are 100 cities. At the rate of inflation, a year 15%. That says that the 100 cities no crowd, which I can say 15% of that, 15 cities. You have to take it out to get the net value of the money that you have. Inflation about 10%. What does it mean? It means you're talking about 10%, 10 cities, not 15.
Not 15.
These are all, I mean, they don't come and simply say, IABB boom, but incrementally, you look at all these figures. You say, yes, the 500,000 vote difference between me and my main opponent. Other than it being an endorsement, the 500,000 vote difference between me and my main opponent, other than it being an endorsement by the people of Ghana of my stewardship in December, 4 years after I took office.
Ahinkai 93.3 FM. Don't touch your dial.
The people of Ghana returned me with a margin of over 500,000 over my predecessor. That has to be an endorsement of the policies that we have been putting in.
Doesn't that make you complacent too?
Does not make me complacent.
I'm not say Ghana for, you know.
No, on the contrary. For me, I have a commitment given to me by the mandate. Say between 2017, 2021, 2025, I work flat out to address the problems of this country. I can never have a moment of complacency. That is not in my book. And I think those of you who know me a little bit will know, say, that's not the way I look at life. The complacency, the Mbamukra.
Mr. President, 77 and counting. What drives you? I
think it's an interest in the development of Ghana. From Madrid said, Mahodin Kakram war, intellectually, physically, spiritually. I'll put it at the service of this country to see what contribution I can make. You are different spheres of life. We are all making contributions to the development of our country. And I felt that the most effective political engagement. So that has been the drive. A drive about Ghana, its present and its future. And it continues to be my mantra. What to do to bring about the improvement of the conditions of life of our people, what to do about improving the standing of our nation. These are the things that drive me, and they continue to drive me, and they will until the time comes the Constitution is also 7th January 2025. Mimpo. I said me sorry for it.
On better time.
Before about the child. But I have a big passion about Ghana. I have a big passion about the future of our country. What are we talking about? We're talking about the country, the first in Africa, and Black Africa to be free, the most enduring democracy on the continent today after decades of turmoil. There's so many things about the Ghanaian people and their development, which for me are sources of pride and provide the inspiration for trying to help and to move the people of this country forward. And serving them is an honor as far as I'm concerned, and a privilege. And in some ways, I saw and I won't be so I mean, all of these things, but they don't disturb me, and they don't derail me. They don't divert me from the project.
2025 into my main friend wa proboni bi. So 7th January 2025 upe so opete tem cry and fama wa waji atum se ECOWAS ne ekoso no enye papa third termism. Omo mpese umdi wa de wo party mu wa bedi echim yatini din ora lanchemantin on your. Are they focused on the work you have given them, or are they basically trying to succeed?
At the moment, I have no evidence that for ambition are interfering with the work that they're doing. I have no evidence. On the contrary, I continue to see in the cabinet, in the government, people who are working strongly for their. I mean, Usofia Kuto with the agricultural project now. The industrial agenda, something that is being worked on very, very hard. Every day, wherever I go, we see your friends saying actually coming into being. One day, one of policy and Crawford, as usual. King Promise.
What do you mean now?
So every day the country is seeing that yes, these commitments to build the factories in the various areas of Ghana, they're commitments that are bearing fruit. Baumia is the chairman of the economic management team, which is the position of the vice president. You see the big efforts that the economy is making against very difficult circumstances to move. So all of them, and as I say, I have not seen, because if that was to happen, I would have to be ambition in tea. No night to say we will put fully at Tunche. But obviously the president cannot be unconcerned. I mean, I've been in this position before. Yes, I was a minister in President Kufuor's government, foreign minister at the time when the bell sounded for the race for his successor. I had to comport myself accordingly. As far as I'm concerned, those who are there in that situation today are also. There's two issues for me that matter. One, that we should have a transparent, credible, acceptable process for choosing our next flag bearer. The same as I came out of such a process. It should be my responsibility to make sure that the process for choosing the next leader of the NPP is equally free of doubt or machination or manipulation. That's for me absolutely key. And I'm hoping that a level playing field that allows us to elect our next presidential candidate will also bring us a candidate who can unite our party. Because competition there could be also oh yes, and it's inevitable. It will bring some divisions in the party, but we are the ruling party. So there's a responsibility on us to conduct ourselves in such a way that, because cracks in the MPP, they're serious, can have a reflection on the state.
Yeah.
We are the ruling party. And if our base, which is our party, is fractured, that fracture can be translated into a fracture in the state. Nobody wants that. And we in the MPP should be the last to accept such a reality in the country.
What would you do to influence the process?
Making sure that the process is fair. Making sure with the party leadership that a fair, transparent, credible process is put in place that will enable, because at the end of the day, it is the party that makes the choice. I was the choice of the party. I wasn't the choice of any cabal or group of people. Yes, there were people who supported me right from the beginning. But at the end of the day, it is the ordinary party people in the polling stations, in the constituencies, in the regions, who actually cast a vote. A vote free of any sort of irregularity to elect me. I want the same thing for my predecessor, that he should also, he or she, people will accuse me of will also be, but as I say, that is important. And secondly, that we get a personality who's capable of unifying the various groupings in the party and being able to present a formidable front for the 2024 election.
You've worked with all of them. Deep down, I'm sure you have your favorite.
I have a vote.
So
it's like in the national election, I have a vote. So in the your friend is primaries of the MPP, by our constitution, I have a vote.
Into a two will be paid.
Now I
can't pakrono.
The secrecy of the ballot. Votes.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo Mampanyi Republic of Ghana.
Peace FM.
And I want to say, you know, etwetwe nkomo anape efa ni nyuma a wodi na pro bonho ne nia ekeka ka ho nyina na yanko bisa no say na pro bono. So far 15 regions have been covered. 16th region a Greater Accra and Ofiasie Henry Quarter Greater Accra regional minister meaning say odimu akwetene papa Omampanyi yempie baby
Henry Quarter has one but since me born when I come for no abomode
Henry Quarter
I think so be who said Adwin Papa na me didn't buy
also
doing a good job in the country.
Also na ona man yes I no nsuro hwe no na aya so mu ade akra no ninja no person ya adwuma foforo o say no mpe
at the beginning
and then
where are now so adjust your mind to it and get on with it, but he's proved to be an extremely strong choice and preference. Ejuma oye no so says obi ehun se oba so oba be ejuma oba se oba be diagro na oba be petinia man se dem oye agrubusi again the relocation of the people, the let's make Accra work, the agenda, making meaningful of our commitment to a clean Accra city, and then the city whose public services are they are the work of a very committed regional minister. Emi Depas will say, "Nyami kwan mehunu sa Ghana for no do when crowd one year one crowd do one who say amba penyi aba." Then the kesi say, "One be ejuma papa." Kisa kan ezisi mbonu tuntu wo. O penyi gram say, "Edi ejuma say I say was ujimi."
Utimi nya
Aka kan de aka anke ntwe ye kwa.
Henry Numa ko gba mi. It's not just when Niji ejuma wa ye ho.
He's doing well.
Great.
He's doing a good job.
Great. Let's move on, Mr. President. one of the accusations about where Juma Hon say more abandoned projects, okay, social infrastructure. Senya moye say Juma, but otia yes, we abandoned project, we abandoned way, we predecessor Numa wabeye ebi wo oba wejemu. Yenim say minority caucus ewo mrachebedwem akọ aprobo omakopie voter region aflawo ohene kra ka say school e-blocks omusi wo ho mogemu moma meje no wankwankwaje ka ho na commander adwuma no atwe asan ebi so aka say road networks upper west region into accusations in there ewo ho oben uso musain say adwuma ye de Ghana sika eye no also wenye
say me kai no you want to be out here me feel say asifem because the reality tell you a completely different story. Infa commander, okay. Just to begin with. I say Mukoka says you can't build a house by starting at the roof without building a foundation because the house will collapse. That is exactly what has happened. It was in the NDC time.
May 2016.
May 2016. Immediately after its commissioning, on the 30th of May 2016, the factory was shut down because of lack of access to raw materials. And soon after, a transaction advisor who was appointed by the then NDC time, up and down, no progress. Why? Because the fundamental issue which has dogged the Commander sugar factory, the absence
that collapsed, that means here.
Shutdown of a factory. How do you understand it?
So no more maintenance.
Immediately after you bring it down it was shut down for lack of raw materials to feed the factory. And this is the point that I've been making, that the whole planning of the Commander Sugar Factory was wrong from the get-go. What we have been trying to do, what Alan Chamating has been trying to do, and it's a very valiant effort that he has made, is to try now to reconfigure the investment in such a way that he has now access also to raw material supplies from the factory. I think the work that has been done between him, the transaction advisor, and the board of the company is now in a situation whereby, God willing, by February next year, we will have got the Commander Sugar Factory working.
By February next year?
This is the target that we have.
Do we have raw material?
They've made arrangements now to supply the factory with the raw material.
How sustainable is that, Mr. President?
It's going to be sustainable. If the factory is going to start working, it has to be sustainable. Because when you come back to it and you understand how it is that the poor planning continues to be an albatross around our neck. The question you're asking.
Your roof and your foundation. Yes, how sustainable?
How sustainable is it? Because the initial planning never properly incorporated raw material supplies into the project. Because if that had been so, we would not be in this discussion today. But the arrangements have been. We're talking about roads.
Yeah.
There's so many examples. When you talk about ongoing projects, many of the roads that allegedly we have stalled had no development at all before I came into office.
Really?
I can give you several. The flyover over the motorway from Flower Pot, name a concept in the air. You're looking at the Bogatanga Boko Polimakum Road. Physical progress as a percent. Today, it's nearly 40%, the development of it. There are several other examples. The Ketekrachi Mandai Nyampali Road, 9% development at the time, were 8%. Today is 97% virtually complete. You talk about the whole main road in the center, the dualization process of the whole. I came to meet physical progress at 8%. Today, we're talking 50%, the development. The Eastern Corridor Road, Lots 5 and 6, which have been the subject of a lot of discussion. When we came in, the physical progress there was 55%. Today, it is 78%. In Kwanta, Dambai Road, the reconstruction.
Okay, Eastern Corridor Road,
no?
Okay, in Kwanta,
no, separate. 6.85% was the rate of physical progress at the time when we came in. Today it's 61%. I mean, there's several such examples, which shows you that the allegation that we have abandoned the road projects that we came to a head is difficult.
How about the E-blocks?
Many of them. I think I'll find an opportunity to send you that many of them are being worked on across the country.
Let me just take one, Mr. President. The one in Aflao where the chief himself has complained. Aflao Pache say E-block no oba yenya hoshi. Inti my education minister up to February say ombe yehu bibi. It's an
minister ultimatum. And
Inti obisa no then every out of frustration maybe okasa.
As much as possible. I've given you these examples to let you see that, on the contrary, despite the propaganda, because one of the things that I suspect there's a deficit on our part is our ability to counter the propaganda. The propaganda takes over the terrain.
Would you improve on your communications team?
What aspect of national life can you not improve? What aspect of political engagement can you not improve? You can improve it. But at the same time, too, virulent propaganda has its own power. And that is the phenomenon that my government has been facing. So we're talking about the hospitals.
Yes.
It's another area where I'm alleged to have abandoned the hospitals. The Eurojet project is presented as if it was a project initiated by the Mahama government. It is not true. The Eurojet project was initiated by the Kufuor administration. Before President Kufuor left office, that whole project had began. The question we have to ask ourselves, the 8 years of NDC rule saw no progress whatsoever on these hospitals. Whether you're talking about the East Municipal Hospital, Trifupraso, all these ones in Soko, all the developments that have taken place in these hospitals took place in my time. They say so. The contractors say so. When these hospitals, the ones that have been commissioned, like the Upper West Regional Hospital, the East Municipal Hospital, the Trifupraso, the Tepa, and Soko, all these hospitals, when they're completed, listen to the contractors, they'll tell you that for several years they were unable to do any work.
Even though it began under President Kufuor?
Even though it began under Kufuor. And then it is in my time that the funds and the commitment have been put together to allow these projects to be completed. There's several of them. And as we're speaking now, the 250-bed regional hospital in Kumasi in Syria, I was there. That's what something 95% complete. And the commitment that has been made is that by December, early January, the hospital is going to be... we now have a problem of the supply of the utilities to the hospital, water, the road access, electricity. But the hospital substantially, the civil works for the building of the hospital have now been complete. We have the same phenomenon in Konowo. It's a 60-bed hospital. It's virtually 95% complete as we speak. And we're looking also for that to be also completed at the end of the month. So when you're looking at all these examples, you wonder how come people have the courage to come forward to deny the reality. But then I've noticed that is the stock in trade of my opposition. dealing in facts that are not there, but screaming it so loud that the person who doesn't take care will begin to think that these must be facts. Otherwise, why are they being said? But it is also part of negative propaganda. You repeat an untruth several times. Ultimately, hopefully, it will sink. It will sink.
Well, maybe because also you're not telling your story. Your communications team is not telling your story enough. Maybe they should up their game, and probably it will sink the propaganda. But Mr. President,
the propaganda was not able to sink my electoral chances.
I'm not Chimayo do.
Oh yes, I'm
not Chimayo.
Ghana for some Nameke. Ghana for some Nameke. Never am Kotumao. What are the Kotu? Which shows you that the propaganda in itself, it cannot obliterate the reality and the facts. And at the end of the day, maybe it's a master communicator to someone.
Mr. President, but opinion about hospitals as me misa bako so agenda 1-1 ye disikani na kwashewa ye nia ne kakaka but ye ni na no ebia ni niska. We are spreading ourselves too thin.
The capacity within the public sector joined up with the private sector is there to carry out the project. I don't have any doubt about it. And the people across the country, the processes for the development of these hospitals are ongoing. We made a commitment that by the end of next year, these hospitals will be in place. And I'm confident from what I've seen of the preparation.
We're not biting more than we can chew?
I don't believe so. I think that it will be a big achievement. And I think it will also be an achievement which will give confidence to our people that we're capable of large-scale infrastructural projects. We, Ghanaians, all the people involved. Some of the contractors will have a foreign contact, but the professionals who are manning this, architects, surveyors, all of them.
Mr. President, don't you think that your enthusiasm, energy, and drive when it comes to Agenda 111 is probably bigger than the reality on the ground?
I don't believe so.
You don't think so?
I don't so. There are one or two places where we're having problems predictably, and it's part of factored in by land acquisition and land rights. Mm-hmm. Those are inevitable aspects in our country with the land tenure system that it has. But overall, and I believe that of the 111, something like 88 or 89 are going. There are a handful. The actual clearing of sites and putting in the basic foundations are already started. The whole thing has been divided into groups. Mm-hmm. Different groups are responsible, both as architects, as consultants, and contractors, for particular group lots of the hospitals. Mm-hmm. So it isn't as if it is one particular contractor or one group of architects who are doing in the mall. On the contrary, we're mobilizing across a broad front and bringing together a lot of skills and expertise together to do the project. And I think that this is the kind of project that should be done in this way. Yeah, because it's always difficult. Why does somebody have and somebody doesn't? This thing, what happened was when the COVID, at the very beginning, when we didn't know exactly the trajectory of the hospital, of the COVID, mm-hmm. when I asked for an audit to be conducted as to where the health sites and in the country were. That's when came this information, the initial information that there were 88 districts in Ghana that they didn't have any district hospitals. I am Shishepa. I've got frightened. So that if this disease is the national, the global, and national perspective that there are to it, and that there are nearly 90 districts out of the 200 odd 60 districts that don't have access to a district hospital. It means that the people in those areas, if this disease spreads to them, are truly threatened. And when the result of the order was brought to me, to be honest, my heart was really, really thumping away. I got scared. I said, hey, it's a BBC invasive pandemic. Fortunately, first of all, it did. On our we can't have, it's like it's not good for our country to be creative. This is what we've been doing. We're trying to we're finding ways and means to do it. We have to do it. Some of these things have to be done, and as far as the Agenda 111 is concerned, very, 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 very thorough investigations have been undertaken by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Health, the government system in general, to find the way to do it. The monies for the mobilization are already in the place so that the beginning can be financed, and arrangements have been made to make sure that the contractors get paid as they do their work. It can be done. Mr. President, simplified a lot of things. We have got uniform designs. We've also agreed on the bill of quantities, uniform across the country, so that we can also have uniform prices and transaction values. All those things have been centralized and clarified. So the possibility of being able then to do the work is very strong. We will do it.
I think Chabo.
I'll be back here next year.
I think Chaba, we are sure say I feel in Chaba.
I'll be back next year.
You beat me near was hospital.
I'll be back next year. I'll be back next year. Now I don't know a bit more who said the American Papa so hard to have Papa so. I don't know. Say I don't gaga. You should want to change the meeting.
Opening a banner saying that Cape Coast. I made
a mistake. Let me just confess it. I made a mistake.
You did?
Yeah, I made a mistake. In looking at the manifesto, and I tried to do that before I go. I saw one page which talked about a landing site. I didn't go further to see. But in any event, even with the mistake, I think still we have to rethink a lot of things. We can't have a harbour in Almina. We have a harbour in Almina, which is being developed right now. Obviously, Takrady, Almina. Then we have another one projected for Cape Coast before we go further down the road. I think some rethinking has to go on. For us to be able to find what is the value for money arrangements that would. But it was a mistake, and I have to apologize to the people of Cape Coast and the Central Region for that mistake. But presidents are human.
After all.
They're not Superman. They make mistakes.
Well, so that settles it for now. I'm sure that we'll move on. Let's look at corruption quickly, and then you can go on your tour. Because make sure Accra for Swenya, regional minister, Wabona Basui, Nitima and the Orhese, Okanuma Banyan Fiuni, Anake, Okaleba. Mr. President, corruption, Africa, Ghana, in Simbia Ba, Efa, Wabai Bost contaminated fuel, missing excavators, contracts for sale with PPA, NYA, Sputnik vaccines, especially with COVID. Biaka said COVID, in Kofo Abemudi, I chop. Did you papa but you can't on your hearing? Me sure say Waka say yes, this is why I'm clearing agent. Respectfully, me can lightly say why I'm clearing agent. Ubi asamoba na ebidru ha na wa clear no.
I think that is the first thing. There's not one single incident. Right from the very beginning, Parliament talked about
cash proceeds.
Boche Jaco tried to influence his outcome. Right through accusations that were leveled all the way through up till now. Each one of the allegations that are made are investigated by the state institutions. There's not one. I cannot conduct the investigation. You cannot conduct the investigations from Jubilee House. The ones who can conduct the investigations are the institutions on the ground, whether it is the police, the CID, in some cases the Parliament has those investigative powers, a YOCO. These are the institutions that carry out these investigations and then produce a report. And it is on the basis of their reports that I act. So if easy, I mean, one of the things is people in public office. It is extremely easy to level the accusation of corruption. For instance, a lot of business people are very quick to do it. 2 or 3 companies are vying for a contract. They go through a tender process, and your company gets it, and Eugene Hines' company doesn't get it. You hear Eugene Hines say, it's corruption. Yeah. You hear a lot of that in our system. I'm not saying that is the only source, but something like that, you investigate it. And you see whether the proper procedures were applied, and if so, the decision-making in the selection was correct, and you operate on that. I am not declaring agent. There's not one single one of these allegations that were made where I did declare it. I announced the results. Yes, I announced the result, and that is my responsibility, because in many cases, the investigations were initiated by me. If my attitude was to condone and push it under the table, hide it under the carpet, why would I even begin the investigative process? The reference of my deputy chief of staff to CID was made by me. I don't remember the last time the president. It is a whole matter that we can go into, but I don't think we have the time to do that. So when it works, people will assume that somehow or other they have been influenced. It isn't the case. But when the evidence is there, we have to act on it.
How about PPA, BOST, other places too? You say, you say, on your National Youth Authority incidences. You see.
But then he was investigated. I believe it was referred to the special prosecutor. I believe so. Yeah, but when you make these references, the matter comes out of my hands. How reference, how it is dealt with after that is not a matter for me. But the investigation, the investigative exercise has to go on. And that is what I have insisted on. And if the results come that there is, in fact, no substance to the allegations, and it's my duty, just as it's important to hold people to high standards in public conduct, it's also equally important that allegations which are without substance should not be used to stigmatize public officials. If there is substance in it, fair enough. If there isn't, it shouldn't be allowed to go forward. And to that extent, in many of these cases where the allegations are proved to be valueless, that I've announced that they are valueless, that I'm being accused of being a clearing agent. As far as I'm concerned, I'm being fair.
One of your biggest legacies office of the special prosecutor yeka corruption na no abamitrim ni odi kan be no yetete ne ho nsem bebre no de call foforo aba wa hye yebo say the new special prosecutor are you resourcing him enough?
Reviving a controversy with the old special prosecutor. But I think there's enough evidence to show that he was adequately resourced. Yeah, and there's really, I don't want to go into that matter again. He was adequately resourced. Okay. And as far as this one is concerned also, I'm satisfied that the process of giving him the wherewithal to be able to do his work is very, very, very much on, and that he would do. These things, like all of us, when you are appointed to public office, to some extent it's a leap in the dark.
Yeah.
It is, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So we will see with the new special prosecutor to what extent we can count on him to live up to the responsibilities of his mandate. And I'm confident. I think that the Attorney General made a good reference to me. I acted on that reference. Unfortunately, when he went to Parliament, the public scrutiny that accompanies parliamentary approval processes, I think indicated to the country the quality and the nature of the person who had been appointed to this. Let us then rest our case for the time being and see from his deeds, not from his words, whether he's up to the responsibility.
One of the reasons why I'm asking this is he sat here, graciously gave me an interview, and wakekanya mo peso ye ne forensic lab, cyber lab, you know, sanya many 19 na me bisa say eya dia obenya ho aka dia dia ye adwuma.
Every effort is being made. Every effort is being made to make sure that that in reality he's capable of doing the work.
Wrapping up, Mr. President, 3 years from now,
somebody who made a significant impact on the development, especially of our national economy, and that you can compare the data at the beginning of my mandate and at the end of my mandate to see that there has been a significant improvement, enhancement in the living standards of our people, the quality of life to which they expected, and who generally came to make a serious contribution to Ghana's development. That is how I would like to be remembered. Apart from Ado Showboy,
Ado Prima, Ado Gaga.
That is how I would like to be remembered.
One thing you'd also be remembered for, Mr. President, is your contribution to the law in this country. Bano Emreni Munsemwa Debia Mafobodi Edekaho. Omo Mwesian Lobeka se okesi sawaye nipa bebe disua dene. Obani Ghana School of Law Nkomoyi 499 of them. I must say, I say,
there's serious discussion going on in the
yes, who could be so there were UPSC say expansion project to be. Unfortunately, Yasuma reporters alcohol. Okate so the Obianko Yahoshibium.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah, Obianko Yahoshibium. Inti yes, so the Okatu.
We have a world, the country that's governed by the rule of law.
Yeah.
It means we need to have lawyers in virtually all aspects of our national life, guiding the development of the country so that the rule of law really makes sense. There are, as always in these matters, many complex issues that have to be determined, and the conversation is ongoing. And I'm hoping that soon rather than later, a solution is going to be found.
Everybody seems to think that you should be able to give the solution, primarily because of the fact that you are a lawyer, one of Ghana's most celebrated lawyers. Now you're president, and wow, profession, and Asasimi Kum, and year on year.
It's a reasonable expectation. I'll not run away from it. Substantial progress will have been made in trying to deal with this.
So what happens to the 499 right now?
There's those who have been decided to be more vocal than their predecessors.
Mr. President, you're being very honest, which isn't what we hear from the Ghana School of Law people. What can I say, Mrs. Sia? There's no space. Inti adenti no mujini pano broso sawi nefi omode sadi nyina bechichiri nyina yekon.
Yeah, but the point is that what is it? How are you going to have a pre-selection as to who's entitled to take the exam? You can't do that. You could only operate on some sort of situation whereby the first X or something from the numbers. I mean, are the ones who are admitted. It's difficult. What the law is and the law profession can appreciate is the popularity of the profession.
Yes,
and that is healthy for the growth of a law-based state, that people are interested in becoming law. The matter has evolved. There's a need for us to find a solution to the numbers who are applying and their capacity to go to law school. And beyond these matters, there are examples elsewhere which we need to take into account. Our situation, we began with certain institutional arrangements and we copied largely from the British, because it is after all their system of law that substantially we have adopted and incorporated into our Ghanaian legal system. But there are other examples of how the training of lawyers should take place. And I think that it's now being looked at in great detail. And hopefully a solution is going to be found. It's unfortunate. I cannot pretend that this is a happy coincidence for me at all. On the contrary, I'm very disturbed by it. And I'm hoping that soon the cooperation of the various stakeholders, the General Legal Counsel, the Chief Justice himself, Attorney General, myself, we will find a solution to this situation.
President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and Mr. President, as I mentioned earlier, I'd appreciate it if the UP and on the trail into your news bulletins near the Nana.
She does a very good job, by the way.
Well, we gave you a good girl.
Yeah, she does a very good. She's been 4 or 5 years.
More than that, before 2016.
Even in opposition, she was following us, and she's very dogged, very serious. A boy modiwa.
Nana Obamoding. Mr. President, baby, okay, what are you telling them? What are you looking for? What are you looking out for? Probably in crime for. Then I'll.
The same thing as I've done everywhere else. First of all, to see the various projects, the conversation of the government and its policy direction. I also go to thank them for their vote. 2020 was not what we had hoped for. We lost several seats here, I think 7 altogether, and did not win the majority here. But nevertheless, we had a substantial vote here. So it's important that I also thank them for the expression of confidence in us. Even people who lost the election are going around thanking people. How much more me? So these are the approaches that I have to my talk.
I see.
I think that I'll take it that is a statement made in jest.
Papa V. Ohale statement.
It's a pity.
Finally, QI plus. Any thoughts on it?
It's in the Parliament. It's in the Parliament. It's a private member's bill. We've been fighting for for a long time, the opportunity for private members also to sponsor bills in Parliament. I believe this is the first opening that is legitimate processes that are being used. What I would hope for is that the debate itself would be civil, and that we would recognize the need for us to be tolerant and well-positioned people within the civil society sectors of our country coming forward to express their views on the matter. I think that it will be a credit to Ghanaian democracy if this matter is handled in the correct manner. Well, now I believe a reference will be made by the bill to the Constitutional and Legal Committee, the committee that looks at the issue of rights and constitutionality of legislation in our parliament. They will work. I hear that over 130 memoranda have been submitted to them. I'm anticipating that they will all be looked at closely before they can be. And will be conducted in an acceptable manner. And at the end of the day, we will know what our legislature will have to, the position that it will take on the issue.
Interesting thoughts, Mr. President. Thank you very much for your time. And you promised, so see you in a year, God willing. Peace 104.3. It's 11 in the morning. We shall be all right.
Oh. Okay, yes, I am Makwaba and San Fambrahin 93.3 FM. A conversation between President of the land Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo and a senior man Eno Ena Icheguye live on Ahinka 93.3 FM and also live on Peace 104. It's part 1 and 2 in Ankara Kraya the Economy na fe de Akadia Twa. So it's exactly 1 minute na apa ye du bako eho nti ya wa hye so na market na ye kono ye be fa ne live e wo Ahinkan 93.3 FM nti ensamo dede aidi be di akire no enya sem ketwa market na ye kono ewurade nyame me say wo ye school near the letter ne brew e na wa ma wankasa wo tifia wo kon be do keke nti next year udimirika kra na obeba so ati ase enti nyame yadom enne na wotwe pepepe enne na wotwe pepepe ye ko market na enne na wotwe market na ye ko no mid morning no so ko market ni bi nti mid morning ni ye ko eni dwemu ho ebe yiri tu ye ko market ye to ade ni nyina na ye di nkomo e wo radio ni so na ye be ko so market ni mu nyina ye be fa ne live e wo radio yi eso enne na wotwe pepepe nti schools na mo participate no yani mu adi nkomo dada ene na otwe yani mu nyina ye market mo reps no across senior high Atweaman senior high Odan senior high Atefa senior high Vision Vocational Salvation Army Achiase and a youth leadership nyame yadom a na wotwe sen ne pepepepepe ye nyina ye market akototo nioma no na adwadifo ma na ye ba na matete nioma no so ama kakra so ate ase na ene metimi aye kama pa enti no ye de eye did ene de market ni mu akodi edwa kama na nyame yadom a memene da ye de eye competition no ankasa so e de ahyehye so a Kwame Asante bese enye fedi agro kra enye fedi agro nti ya na wache ne so e de amame ye ba market ni mu nyame yadom ene na wotwe pepe Ahinkan high school cooking competition ena ye de eba market ni mu ababedi edwa na fe ye de bibia besi ho na memene da eno ne ade no ankasa ye de ahyehye so eno no ebesi eye ene na wotwe which it will be 28th of this month eya no ache ne so e de amame na ye program na ankasa de yakodi ye dwawie ne na wotwe a ye di dede nsamammo to ye nioma na ya san fa ne live wa Ahinkan FM ne ya to wi a na fe ye de abesi ho na ne memene da 30th no na eno nso so yaba behie mu a chimabo abo de background ho no mo na ye di dwumadie no ahyehye so utie me na se unim rap nyame yadom a minim se ochena na ye di bibia si a mpanifo na dwane mo hanti no se ne ade na kwa ma mimi so kakra mpanifo bacho mo mem mic ne ye misa mo no ho nkomo maba ne de ne maba PM for no o ma gege adamu ho e bacho mo ntwe me ho na mimi sa mo ne yenko Yes, sir. Yeah, me pacho ayi our friend said deadline for rap ne nyoma hodo e ka ho ne yeda ben ya.
I said deadline. Deadline for rappers na. Any dancing, any eating competition.
Me pacho ai. Na ne say Friday we ya.
Friday.
Okay, yeah, china. But the number of nipa na ma receive wo no say na it.
Rappers we are done with the rappers. Rappers in the area.
Oh, really?
And the aka friends ana singing no. Say your problem is dancers ana eating no. Omon be deep, omon be bo no. Omon
yes
mu medi.
Oh, okay.
Yen hwe di di pa na enche na de. Say ye pe omon ba be didi. Ene asafo no. Dancers ana singing no.
Okay. Into rap na de say ye wie.
But still on betumi aba. No problem, on betumi aba.
Aba so say ye wie.
I say yen sort yen on betumi aba.
Oh, okay. It's your number. Mo de be fa so ni 0247581446 0247 eno ne number mo de mo video anase mo audio no e de be fa so e de aba 1 minute e bro 1 minute ya disqualified say 1 minute pepa meaning ye bitimi apeke we ya na wa hye ne so sa Eddie Amame. Me pa cho de be fa number ne so me sambo ni biem 0247581446. Eno ne number wo de e be fa so. Utie me oye company onso pese wo be partner ye ni a ye wo companies be bra onso so expressing interest e bi e partner ye wo mudi na edidi suei utie yen a onso betumi de wo de aba ne abo hu de road amount. Maka cho say on that faithful day no ye dwumadie na se ni nyina no ya de a ye be acknowledge you ne abo mabaso a kire mo chiri kwan na eno so aye live on yen radio yi say ye fa na henka na FM ha no mo a me pa cho enye ye hanko a other radio other platforms are henka na FM so Ghana Waves, My TuneIn, Modern Ghana ni nyina ebe ye live e wo ho no mo ntia na wa hye ne so dia ma me Troxy Bass TV and so as support yen omo ka ho bi Obapa tomato paste e ka ho bi Africa Queen e ka ho bi Dab Motors e ka ho bi Onokwafo Building and Construction Limited e ka ho bi Somua Herbal Center Big Joe Phones brothers we don't so is ntiasie ma me on tiasie ma me
tiasie ma me choba
oh okay
and na ngrofo friend
Beman Kwan all right inti tiasie ma me choba enso so sponsor bi Semaf Cement enso so supporto Legacy Engineering eka ho bi Nana KJC Company Limited eka ho bi Cap Farm Enterprise eka ho bi Base Amoa Enterprise enso so eka ho ebi enti companies no a o matwe muti no na ye do mudi atu jampa to so fa wo de ebra na ye mo hu dawru emfa ma wo Troxy Bass TV Obapa tomato paste enti je say mo amoba ni nyina no souvenirs a mo be nya no den ya wo de Obapa ni bi be kofie o de Africa Queen ni bi be kofie ene ne ma hodo akaka ho no o de bebre be kofie o ene na program no be kama pa Troxy Bass TV Obapa tomato paste African Queen mackerel Dab Motors Onokwafo Building and Construction Limited Somua Herbal Big Joe Phones Tiasie Mame Choba which is Beman Kwan Semaf Cement Legacy Engineering Nana KJC Company Limited Cap Farm Enterprise Bix Amoa Enterprise so mu nyina enso so eka ho bi ene ade dwumadie de ebremo ni nyina ahenkan high school cooking competition ena ye de hihye so den enye fedi agro artista ya to nsade afro mo a omo ba no so doso omo nyina ede omani mo nyamo beta dwumadi achi afei ya to nsa so afren hemfo aboabo hema wate ase wo beba unit committee omo ate ase eba assembly member ate ase eba empanimfo e wa aboabo ha omo nyina ate ase eba political leadership nso so omo nyina eba bi yen special guest of honor Deputy Minister of Education in charge of TVET Honorable Gifty Chum Ampofo Onokrona san ye Abuakwa North Member of Parliament ewe puemantem heya eni ntia na wa hye ne nso ye hwe ni mu se Professor Kwesi Opoku Amankwa on Director General Edema Ghana Education Service nso so edina di munyamba betai akiri ebi Honorable Member of Parliament for Achimda Honorable Alexander Kwesi Akwa enso so ye hwe ni mu obeba yɛwura ɛyɛ Paul Asamoah ɛyɛ DCE Achimansa Honorable Alex Inkum ɛyɛ Asane Manso Akroso DCE ɛna ɛyɛ yɛwura George Kwame Abuagye yɛfrɛ no Oluwa ɔno nso yɛhwɛ anim sɛ ɔde mpanimfoɔ no bi ɛbɛba bɛsi nanan emu afei yɛnkɔ akyease nso so Honorable DCE a wɔwɔ hɔ no mo ɛyɛ Richmond Kofi Amponsa ɔno nso so yɛhwɛ anim sɛ ɔde ebi ɛna Honorable DCE a ɔwɔ Achim Suedru ɛhɔ no yɛ Brim South no ɛyɛ Honorable Asaredanso ɔno nso so agye atum sɛ ɔbɛba ɛna afei yɛba yɛn ankasa yɛn ha no mo nso so a yɛ maame MCE ɛyɛ maame Victoria Edu ɔno nso agye atum sɛ ɔbɛba mpanimfoɔ a wɔbɛba dwumadie no ase dɔso ɛne nti mesrɛ wo yɛto nsa de afrɛ mo especially old students associations no wo support school nko adeɛ baabi a wobia wɔ sɛ woba na wobɛda na di de kyerɛ wɔ mo ɛne nti ɔdan old students mommra tefa old students mommra any other old students associations ne nyinaa mepakyɛw ɛyɛ a momfa mo anim nyamra mɛtae wɔ mo akyi dwumadie no ɛbɛkɔ so wɔakyema boabo dɛ backgrounds ɛnyɛ fɛdi agorɔ ɛne nti ɛyɛ a na wode w'anim nyam abɛtae akyire ebi ma memfa nkurɔfoɔ adwenkyerɛ mo de aba mfa ntoa so na yɛnyɛ ne nsɔre so ne yɛmfa nnwom baako mmienu bi ntwitwa mu ansa na kaseɛ no ɛnso so aba ɔse you guys are doing really well nyankopɔn nhyira mo paa ɛne adwuma a moyɛ yɛfrɛ me Foster mede firi Akyem Ɔdan Old Town ɛna mede ɛba yɛwei nso sɛ yɛfrɛ no Deborah sɛ ɔno deɛ ɔsɛ dɛn aboabo wishing ɔde firi aboabo ɛna ɔwishi ne brother Owusu ɛne Owusu ne sister ɔse bra Owusu ɛne Owusu sister ɔwishi wɔn happy birthday nyankopɔn ɔnhyira yɛn papaapa nkyɛ sɛ ɔmo mmienu na ɔmo di ɔmo birthday no alright nti ɔmampani Akufo-Addo akasa menim sɛ efi ɔkyena ɛkɔ no discussions bebree ɛna ɛbɛkɔ so nkurɔfoɔ bɛkyerɛ ɔmo adwene bebree no a as part of nneɛma ade biara na yɛyɛ no yɛbɛdi mu nkɔmmɔ akɔ akyire ma mema tiefoɔ bɛyɛ mmienu ɛkɔ num ɛkwan no ɔmo nso mmerɛ mu na afei yɛnsɔre so yɛmfa nnwom ɛngyegye mu tata kɔpem sɛ prɛmo ɛbɛto ɛne nti ma ahonyɛ ha ne brɛ mu na afei ɔmampani nsɛm ɔkaeɛ no ɔka aborɔfo bebree no a ɔka twi nso fufa mu nea woteeɛ no ma yɛntie na yɛnkɔ anim 0201944485 0554 20910 Ghana mampanyini na Nado Dankwa Akufo-Addo wakasa awie nsɛm no deɛ ɔka bebree mepakyɛw udin ɛne baabi a ɔkasa firi agya da nso mpakyɛw yɛntie o nyame adomo na wo so
Nado akasa waka nsɛm bebree baakwa paka ayɛ adeɛ paa kwɛsɛ sɛ deɛ wata ata no bi I said Nado sɛ keko di issue no wayɛ mistake ɔmakasa deɛ ɔmoyɛ no ɔmo nim deɛ ɔmoyɛ o MPP ne
ba sɛ ɔgye tum sɛ ɔyɛ nipa nti sɛ woyɛ president ne nkyɛ sɛ wontumi nyɛ mfomsoɔ nti wagye atum sɛ ɛfa n'ani so wanhu nti Cape Coast foɔ koraa wapa ɔmo kyɛw meso medase ɔyɛ nipa no deɛ na kyɛ sɛ ɛdɛn yɛ mfomsoɔ ɛnso ɛwɔ ne ho kakra wanhwɛm nti wagye atum I think sɛ wɔ sɛ debate ne si hɔ a wagye atum apa ɔmanfoɔ no mo Cape Coast ne kyɛw nti debate ne nsi hɔ no mo a 0201944485 0554 820910 mepakyɛw udin ɛne baabi a ɔkasa firi yes sir Prince yentie wo agya
yo I'm say anapɛlɛ ba gbaduma ɔsɛ ɔbɛba ne yɛ ka Cape di ɛho asɛm no sɛbi sɛ adeɛ deɛ ɛnya ama ne sɛ phone so a ɛno deɛ ne sɛ wogye tum a ɛyɛ paa wei yɛ ɔmampani a wotumi sɛ ɛnɔma ase ɛna ɔte amambo no so ase nti aba ne sei no a aba ne sei no wagye atom sɛ ɔyɛ ma Cape Coast bia no ɔbɛyɛ na sɛbi atamfo nyina ni ewu sɛ ɔmampani wei yɛ ɔmampani a wotumi sɛ yɛde yɛn ho to no so a yɛne mu ase da ɛna MPP akata sɛ ɔmoba amammuo mu a ɛno ɔmo bibia yɛ expert nti no kakra bɛtumi aka no sɛ ɔmampani wayɛ ɔbɔ no ho mmɔde papapapa ɔwei na ɛteɛ sɛ wɔyɛ ɔmampani
Okay. Yeah, that's it, bebre. I remember say me kra me tese ana me kan say there be ebia na ye nimfa so na fa o mampani ani so. Me ba cha odin ni ba bia akasa free.
Akasa free akama san. Ogidi gangoni.
Ogidi yenti o.
Omaya de say o ti me bi say no coaching bebre. Coaching no em send ba ku mi ense bi. Want me nya no city. Person e sugar factory no. Eno manti asama o ti ma ansa. Na ne oma ba ku mi enu bi.
Oh, sir, wa promise say omo be sign am na resume operation very soon.
Na entina e wo hoda da no wan to aso.
And I say e wo hoda da no. E wo
no obi botom sika. Enti o ja to o de no se sika na no mo se no.
E ba say eno na no o de anu yie ba say Yewura Mahama say na sika bi wo Indian for ho e wo se yakoje. And obi sa ne say na ni sika ne da ho no mo aye je ne simple ade na wa anye sika ne kura mfa nto ho na odi ja ho ko ye.
Astro mi enu mani ha. Enti e mo de o ka ta de onu wa mistake na mistake.
Za na ogidi me ba. Ogidi. O se u be si dan. Eye wu ogidi yo. E na wo si sika bibia wo ho no mo. Na sika bibia wo ho no mo a. E na oba bia ba. Oba ne ba ye se obeto adan so wu ni ho. Se ne wan so wo fa sika ne de asie. Na wo de obeka kire oba ne se sika ne de wo ho na emom je so wokodan ka ba.
Me ni ho na oba de obeto aso de a. Won to aso. Me ba no we bi se me bi sika no.
Yati ase ogidi yati ase mo bi nso mra bi 0201944485 0554820910 0201944485 and 0554820910 yenya na yemfa nsina fei yemfa nwom kakra to aso me pa cho udin ni ba bi akasa free. Hello. Udini baby akasa free wa daroma. Kwa bra yinti o.
Wato obanina office Ghana Africa no so say ajuma ayama ndiyan ko bi yeswa. Wato bedo bi say o wa kola na won tete no. E kwa bla bo bi say na say olon kasa otimation no wa say na. Ko bi ajuma oni ma bi oni petrima yenya ho akade empem yaduma obi anu wa to wa den betan da be famu obi anu bibi obe but adisa wunya nsase o da ya ba ko ja hen kan ya adin de bere woni si wa opeso wa ye but asase no wan disa no obi na so na sene ebu anu ala onu sunya ba bi jina ala onu so ba bu bia ankala ni so adi hu nke wan nto mo mpe bi bi kan tre na yo si ngi abla mo pa na asase ntwe fa nto aso so ka tre se ajuma ya ma la wanya juma anse bi ya wanya bi ya kura obede no abobla
okay yada say yentimi for frefu bi mo fa nche yen nyame adom a ekina yebesana ba betwa so ntimu a mo frefre mo fa nche yen mame sensi su bi mu say nyame adom a na wotwe se ne pepepe schools na omo ba be si akan no schools na be si akan no ye nyina ye ko market na market na ye ko ne di mumume ene de ko market ni mu ye ma odan ne mpotamufo nyina hunu sampa ahenkan de odi yen a na odi asem kese ye papa ene ye kase ye beye nso a ne ye beye ye besunti ene ye di fun anim ene nti ya no ahye ne nso sa de amame ti nyame adom a next week ye hye ye ntade no ene ye kinkirin se ban kura ni bi kura kopi bi aba fada mfa mutimbo mu kopi bi ne ye ni animu kinkirin enya asem ketwa kura afi ye kɔ no so ne ye kɔ so ho nyina ebeye live ewo ahenkan ye Facebook page asan ye live ewo 93.3 ahenkan kasafidie no so ntia na wahye ne nso edi amame mame fasida enkoma udi ahenkan kwame ye boa ono de di animu se executive producer adwempa hene ka ho bi Kobi K kwame asante ka ho ena no pay so ye technicians too no Mr Billy ene Glover edi omani munyambete akira o make kan yema bu mu ema ye crossy over to Peace 104.3 for that big interview. Ofremi Obuoba Ofori Amanfo mpacho hwe wonso yie wo hwe wonso yie ni yesu ba mu otumi nyini che wate ase enti me sorry so a ye de nwom mahu se DJ Nelson obebo nwumi de friend DJ Nelson abegina chire ho no mo a obeka nwum agum free sabre confirm se 12 no bebo no enya sem keto aba before no ebiri kan commercials aton ye nneoma ba akomienu bi na fe ye wi a waba betoa so de nwom no agum kunkrun kan na hye nso se eye nipa na efom na nipa na de che yen kasa ye mu ne ndwumadie no ofum bu bae a na de ache yen wo ye phone number wo frɛ yen wo se chale aha de no fafa ha ne ye ya de nso no aboyaba so eno na boa ema nipa tumi kɔ nanim wa abrabom nyame nka ye nyina ye ho until see ye besen hia wo chena